This lesson will introduce the concept of the slope of a line. When you hear the word slope, what do you think of? I think of mountains, ski slopes, beginning slopes, advanced slopes. What determines if a slope is advanced or beginning? Typically how steep the mountainside is, right? And if we think about that mathematically, that's exactly what we're talking about, the property of a line that measures the steepness of the line. On this particular image that I have, notice that there are several mountainsides that I can superimpose a line on. Slope actually has two things that we need to know. It measures the steepness, that is how steep is the line, but also it measures the direction of the line. Lines that move from left to right and are running up from left to right, those are positive slopes. They're increasing from left to right. Ones that are moving down from left to right are decreasing or have a negative slope. Now the way that we have to measure slope is we have to talk about what is the ratio of a vertical and horizontal change as you move from one point to the other point. And so we'll talk about that mathematically, but it is the letter M. It is a ratio of the vertical change compared to the horizontal change. As you move from one point on a line to another. We can also talk about this as rise divided by run. So if we have 2 points on a line, one of them is x sub 1, y sub 1, and the other is x sub 2, y sub 2. Then the slope is defined to be the change in y, that is that vertical change, divided by the horizontal change, or the change in x, as we move from one point to the other. The vertical change is this rise, divided by the horizontal change, or run, which is the change in x. So the rise is what is the difference between the two y values, and the run is what is the difference between the two x values. It can be y sub 2 minus y sub 1 divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. We can also say that the slope is y1 minus y2 divided by x1 minus x2. The key is that the starting point in the numerator and denominator have to be from the same point. So if you start from the second point for the numerator, you have to start from the second point from the denominator. So change in y over change in x. In example 1, we want to find the slope of a line passing through the given points -2, 3, and 1, -8. We label these points as x sub 1, y sub 1, and x sub 2, y sub 2. So our slope is y sub 2 minus y sub 1 divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Substituting these values, we get -8 minus 3 divided by 1 minus -2. Simplifying, we get -11 divided by 1 plus 2, or 3. So this slope means that as we move from one point to the other point, we will have to go down 11 units and right 3. If you recall, we were looking at rise divided by run. So our rise is -11, which means we go down. Our run is positive, which means we go right 3. To find the slope between 1.2, -0.4, and 0.8, 1.3, we do the same thing. We just have decimals here, but we label our points x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. and substitute in. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 is 1.3 minus negative 0.4 divided by 0.8 minus 1.2. The numerator simplifies to be 1.7 divided by, in the denominator, we'll get negative 0.4 when we divide these, we get negative 4.25. Now if we think about that as rise divided by run, this is really negative 4.25 divided by 1. So we could say that our graph is going down by 4.25 units for every 1 unit increase in x. Find the slope of a horizontal line y equals 4. This one's a bit trickier because it doesn't give us 2 points, but we know 2 points on a horizontal line. We talked about that earlier. A horizontal line means that all the y values have to be the same. Specifically, they are 4. So let's put in anything for x. 0, 4, 1, 4 are both on this horizontal line. If we find the slope between these 2 points, y sub 2 minus y sub 1, divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1, we get 4 minus 4 divided by 1 minus 0, which is 0 divided by 1, or 0. The slope of a horizontal line is always 0. If you think about that in the terms of rise over run, a horizontal line has no rise to it. It is constant as we move from left to right. And so that's why we can kind of relate to this fact that the slope is 0, because we have 0 rise to our graph. Find the slope of the vertical line x equals negative 3. Again, no points, but we know that on a vertical line all the x values are the same. In this case, they are negative 3. Y can be any value. Let's say we have negative 3, 0, negative 3, 2. To find the slope, we find the change in y divided by the change in x. This will give us 2 minus 0 divided by negative 3 minus negative 3. This simplifies to be 2 divided by negative 3 plus 3, which is 0. Recall that division by 0 is undefined. The slope of a vertical line is always undefined. And again, if you think about graphically, the graph of x equals negative 3 goes through the vertical line at negative 3. There is rise to this graph, but there is no run, which is why the slope is undefined. So there's really 4 types of slopes. You can have a positive slope, a negative slope, a slope of 0, and an undefined slope. Positive slope, the line's going up from left to right. Negative slope, the line goes down. Slope of 0 is a horizontal line, and an undefined slope is a vertical line. So if you think about horizontal and 0, 0 horizontal, there we see there, but they have Z's and O's, undefined and vertical. I think about UV for that to help me remember undefined goes with vertical. So let me know if you have any questions on this concept.